wherever you're at in the world today, and it could be any one of 180 countries that we have actually had participate in one of our projects. Yep, that's a real statement. It used to be how I led Pegasus Night Radio when we turned it into a 7-day network that lasted over 10 years and continues existence in one form or another today. We are the builders of the world. This is time for great things. And today, Apple showed their new spatial computer. Some of you will call it a headset. Way too expensive for a headset. And the development of the metaverse has begun in earnest with Apple putting in their new product that's going to be coming out later this year. Hi, Mary. And so that we've got that coming out. And boy, it looks so cool from the pictures and they're showing, and people have talked about it, people I follow on various social medias are talking about how cool the visor is. And that's kind of where we're talking today. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about. I retired from Witch School on March 3rd, and been kind of on the sidelines, working on Pagan World TV, dealing with the crisis that was on. And it really kind of wiped me out. I'm only now getting back into a position where I can start acting again. And one of the things I was doing prior to and doing research during most of COVID was how to build the next version of schools. And I fully expected it to be Witch School, but the team that and the admins that are running Witch School have decided they've got better answers and they're going to go off and they're going to do whatever they choose to because they feel like they've got better answers to their dilemma. And let's be honest, Witch School went from 22 years ago. We were building it right now. Isn't that amazing? We were building it right now, and it would come out by September 4th. It'd be out there. We started operating it. And it had just one class, Five Mystic Secrets, which is now out as a book in 8 languages, folks. BrilliantPublishing.com. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. It's amazing. But about 22 years ago, it was a class, and we had the first degree. We only had a few lessons on it. And since then, one of the things people don't understand is the internet has changed, and it has increased 13. According to Metcalfe's law, we've doubled every 18 months the power, the storage, and everything else. So we've done it since Witch School started. It's happened 13 times, or 8,164 times more powerful than the day that I started the original Witch School. And by the time we get to this school in September, it'll probably have moved one more time. And we're seeing that with AI. We're seeing that with out of it. So we got a new model. So the original idea of Witch School was that it was going to be a popular school, and this one continues. Psychic Academy is going to be two, and that we were going to teach witchcraft and magic. And we made it open to everybody, though over time and today it is now the Corellian Seminary. Illegally, it's a seminary, and it went from this very broad education out there and people talking to each other. We were like one of the first social media sites. Facebook ate our lunch on that aspect because we had chat rooms, we had forums, we had it all, and we did all that, and we continued that process, and it made people feel very comfortable with us. Now, when we built it, was me, Don, Lisa Tewitt. Lisa was the engineer, the brains behind the actual programming, and Don was the writer, and I was the marketer, and I sold and I raised cash. Same thing I'm doing with Psychic Academy. And so we made a very low price, low cost education that helps people learn it. And from there, we now stand, and it was for a purpose. We wanted to stand at the Parliament of World Religions with real numbers so that we could say, hey, we count and literally count our numbers so that they can say we legitimately counted. And that has a lot to do with some of the tangles of the Parliament. But I've gotten that complete. I'm done with that. And it's now become a seminary, which means it's pretty much a system for teaching clergy. It's a primary system as clergy. A few other things people do and psychism doing, but there's a lot of different spaces for it. But primarily, Witch School went from being very popular, very much the community, and being community activists and temple builders, to being very focused on the way clergy works. Now they can argue it and they can talk about other systems they got in place, and maybe they'll change that. Who knows? But it isn't my worry anymore. It's not my uh, my legacy. Only if they fail ultimately that I did make a promise of lifetime education, and I would do everything in my power to pick it back up. But that's not going to be necessary, I think. Now the big danger of to which school and every other school out there, every other system out there is AI. And today I was in a class called about search engine optimization and how it's going to go away, and it's going to become LLMOs, LMOs, instead of SEO. It'll be moo, and that means large language machine optimization. We're going to start seeing the end of writing hashtags, and there's a lot of things we do to serve our search engine optimization. I've been very good at it. We've kept a really one of the biggest things we ever did was keep to the top for Witchcool and other projects, top of SEO, and I continue to believe that's going to be important, but it's going to become increasingly less important. Just like the Yahoo newsletters and those email news lists went from being very, 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 very important, our crucial backbone, to being actually erased by Yahoo. Things change. So, what is Psychic Academy going to do next? Well, Psychic Academy has really got an idea in place that's very simple. We're going to remember we're 8,000 times more powerful, the internet, than when we did it there. And we're going to utilize a lot of what we feel like is an open campus system. It's going to have a lot more spoken class. The first one, we had to do everything by text. There was no video. Video just did not exist. You could probably even try to download it, but it would take you hours and hours. You had to buy CDs and DVDs, and we did that through the internet until we got involved in 2005, 2006 into video, which expanded us. Today, we have a live television network. So, Psychic Academy is going to be based on this newer technology. It's going to have a core curriculum. I'm looking at pricing it for $99 for the 3 year program, because one of the things I learned a long time ago is that we're better off doing incremental financing for these communities and finding lots of people who will finance a little bit than finding a few people who would donate a lot. And one of the biggest contaminations of an organization is this idea of individuals who give a lot and then build undue influence, not by their training and their teaching, which would be perfectly fine and very, very important, but also their pocketbook. There, I've seen it even in my own spaces where very good people, I mean, exceptional people who do really well, let their pocketbook do a lot of the work when the work they're doing gets eclipsed. And it's painful to watch. It's been painful to be involved with for me, because no one's ever going to know how good they are, how great they are, um, in the same way. And in fact, because of that privilege they see themselves have, they don't see themselves being getting the information out there of who they are and who they are and who they should be recognized with. And this happens in older systems all the time. So we're starting out from scratch. So one of the things I'm going to do is we're going to be basing it on live classes. Our first class will start September 6th, Psychic 101, with Reverend Don Lewis, a lifelong psychic practitioner, reader, and I've got others coming up. Another course we're going to have, and I think this one's a lot of fun, Psychic Security Certification. And this is the first one's going to be 6 weeks to get people through grounded shielding, how to protect people, how to teach people how to build their minds up, how to avoid giving out information, how to keep people from taking your passwords without you without you knowing it. Sometimes you just slip up. And so that's going to be a 6 week course this fall as part of our main core curriculum. There's a lot of other things. There's going to be a lot of ideas. Just as we brought a lot of ideas of witchcraft and magic over the last 22 years and done a spectacular job, and it continues to exist. It isn't like, oh, I'm leaving one and one's going to fall away. No, the other one continues to exist, and it continues to exist as a seminary. And that's quite something to do. Remember, 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, right? So to be out there 22 years later and functioning is an amazing thing. And so now I'm trying to reduplicate that in some ways. It's not going to be the same thing. Why would it be? That's silly. They still teach all of that. But we're going to focus on psychic principles and how to teach it. But most importantly, let me give you this last piece on the idea of the school. We're going to have the idea of psychic certification. I believe I started Witch School for the purpose of making sure that we had a voice in the world and that we had the numbers sufficient and that we could build a legal status. That's right, a legal status by having trained clergy. We're able to create successful temples and spaces that they can file paperwork for and do it. And today we have temples that are 10 and 20 years old. We have some of the longest lasting temples. There are older ones, but we have one of continuous operation. We have some of, as a tradition, we have more continuous operation temples and more forming all the time. And of course, some collapse. Um, and that happens. But overall, we have these amazing abilities to do so. And now in the psychic world, there's a lot of psychics out there, but I want to make it more useful, more applications. And here's what it is: AI cannot beat us in one thing if we choose to really train in it. And that's intuition. Intuition. Computers are logical, they follow patterns, they follow process. Argue what intuition is. Intuition is, but we do know that it is not always or is logic. Some people think it's high performer logic where it speeds up, you get all the information. We're not exactly all sure 100% what intuition is, but in the school, we're going to explore that deeper and develop ways to work on our intuition. Intuition helps you out with curiosity. Curiosity is the wonder of things. Why do things do what they do and how they do it and how they function and how they be? So we want that curiosity. Without curiosity, the machines will go around. If nobody asks Chat GPT questions, what's its purpose? If we're not continuing to be curious and we want to be fundamental in our thoughts, to lack curiosity, then we're in trouble. And that is where a lot of things come into trouble, like totalitarian society. That's one of the things we're seeing right now is they want to remove the fuel for your imagination and how to expand it. And I heard a quote of Joan of Arc. They finally came to them and says, they finally asked him, "How do you know God's talking to you?" He says, "I just know." He says, "Well, it could be your own imagination." It says, "How else would God talk to you?" This is Joan of Arc's statement. How would God else talk to you? So she didn't see her imagination as her enemy or something to be fought against or something to be denied. She saw it as the way that God flows. And I think that is the same way that I see the psychic energy flowing and how we interact with it. Now we're learning about the observer theory from quantum. And now we're starting to see that the more that we think about things, the more that becomes the reality. And now we're starting to see our paradigm shift. They're wobbling like jello. We don't know what the truth is anymore as entities. We've made up so many stories for so long in so many ways. We don't know what's the truth anymore. And that's not true. We know what's true to us. And one of the things we now know, psychic ability and all the power of the psychic energy, that concept of telepathy and clairvoyance and clairaudience is now being made physical. It is being made cyberspace. It's being made matrix. And it's been growing and enhancing. We've never had more working psychics, I guarantee it, than we do now. There are more working psychics today than at any point in our history. Maybe you can see look at the Roman Empire where they had the side street psychic fairs and things of that nature. Maybe. But that's it. So Psychic Academy, my next piece, it's not witch school. Go to witch school, take the lessons, take the classes. But Psychic Academy is going to be based largely on a four-dimensional matrix that is called a nexus that is emerging in the internet. It's going to look pretty strange and even hodgepodge when it begins. So did Witch School. But then it's going to grow into itself and it's going to be this amazing system. And it's going to be allow you to practice, to test, to develop your psychic abilities. And through your psychic abilities, not just as professional psychics reading tarot cards on the side of the road, not just as water dowsers who find things, but as people who are working in the real world will find this advantage of dealing with AI through intuition, through curiosity and imagination, will be able to survive and continue to earn a living. And that's what I expect to do. Well, thank you, Mary. Well, it is an exciting time. I think so. Um, I do think it's a very exciting time. I think this is all something that I've basically waited my entire life for. And now, 50 years later, Aquarians are always 50 years ahead of their times. What I wanted to do at 10, I get to do it 60, and I get to have a real chance to do that. And I get to bring all of you along. So, hi, hello, Diane. So, I want to bring all of you along. When we start this Psychic Academy, it's really meant to help you with intuition, curiosity, imagination, and then take all of those and put those in the right skill sets so that you can function in the world. I'm not just trying to teach you how to do a few little things. I'm really trying to teach you how to take control. I want you to learn how to take control of your mind and all the space around it. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And so September 6th, that's what's going to happen. All right. So last thing this week um, is today. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll talk more Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to see tarot Thursday. Friday, I'm not sure what's going to be on, but Sunday, all day. We're going to be celebrating Don's 60th birthday because he certainly deserves, after all the hell he's been through on Earth, I can say that, the hell on Earth that he's been through, and all the things he had to do, he deserves and has survived to his 60th birthday. We are going to honor and cherish his works, his talks, his speak. And we're going to check it out. That'll be this Sunday, all day, maybe starting as early as 9 o'clock. Um, but Psychic Academy, something different, something very modern, something that is in today's world. It is not going to be a school of yesterday. It's not going to teach just the stale facts of yesterday. It is absolutely going to talk about today and the future. And we're going to just do some amazing stuff. I just think it's going to be amazing. So thank you, folks. If you want to check it out, psychicacademy.org. Pagan World TV continues. Here we are tonight, and let us see what else we can do. Blessed be, folks, and thank you for listening to Daily Spell. We'll be back tomorrow. Do you want to be a guest on Pagan? Check out Pagan World TV at gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us why you'd like to be a guest here or start your own show. We'd love to talk to you. Blessed be.